You mentioned briefly the resurrection, but before we get there are those 3 days, or two, however you calculate it. Where was he in those 3 days? Was he in hell? Was he in heaven?
It's a tricky one. You're trying to put together a certain number of scriptures and to do justice to all of them.
Yeah.
He said to the dying thief, "Today you will be with me in paradise."
But there he could be talking about I in the plural form in the same way that it was talked of in God in the beginning.
Yeah. The bit that often catches people out is paradise. Where's paradise? You could argue at that particular point in time that the system that was there in the Old Testament, Sheol, and the understanding in the Jewish community was that the upper regions of Sheol were paradise. Dead. Yeah. And so Jesus saying, "Today you will be with me in paradise," might mean that, Jesus was going to Sheol, the place of the dead. But the other scripture you'd need to bring in is when Jesus talks to Mary in the garden, said, "I've not yet ascended to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God."
After his resurrection.
After his resurrection.
Okay.
So there's a sense there that he's, this whole idea, did Jesus go to heaven, would probably suggest no, not in that period, because he's saying in the resurrection he hasn't yet been to the Father. So there are scriptures about preaching to angelic spirits that are held in bondage in that period of time. And there are, for some people, it's often taught that somehow he descended into hell and became, as it were, subject to the devil's torment until he broke free on that final day and took the keys of death and hell from the devil. I think that's a little bit of a parody. I can't see that in Scripture. It makes for a great story, but it doesn't quite line up with all the verses in the Bible and how it should be seen.
So what did he do during those 3 days?
Well, I think you've got to look at the verses where it talks about preaching to the spirits. I don't know what that means. I don't think anyone does for sure. But you have to take account of it. You have to take account of the fact that he did rise victorious from the grave and obviously triumphed over Satan in that. But I think that triumph over Satan wasn't so much a great battle. I think the great battle took place on the cross. And I think Psalm 22 was fulfilled on the cross, that whole picture of everything coming against Christ on the cross and him triumphing over it. So exactly what happened in that period of time is difficult to define. But we know that when Jesus rose from the dead, he rose victorious. So I think that's why the Bible doesn't focus much on that particular period. And it gives rise to all kinds of speculation. I mean, everyone has a go at trying to work out what happened in those days exactly and how the timetable fits together. But I think we need to move quite quickly from an understanding of the cross to an understanding of the resurrection.
Thanks for watching. If you want to listen to the full episode, head over to podcasts on iTunes or click the link in the comments.